Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, is brought to you by Blood Type Racing. Let's make your dreams a reality. Rally Armor, setting the standard in mud flaps. Alpine Motorsports, no compromise. And by BrothersTrucks.com, your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC truck restoration.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. Now we're going to take a walk down memory lane and visit our sister show called Performance TV. And here's one of the hosts over there, Joe Costello.
Wouldn't it be great if you could reverse engine wear, make things new again? Well, Pasha from Tribotex is back, and that is exactly what you have developed. First off, how did this all come about?
When I started my PhD research, we was working on biomedical implants for knees and hips, and we looked at the very safe materials that can reduce wear in those vital parts. And the material, it's nanoparticles that are flat and have two different sides, but one side is sticky, another is slippery. So a sticky side attaches to a surface and slippery form a film. And particle by particle, they build up to compensate for the wear that was accumulated there for decades.
So thinking about medical devices, you can build an engine a lot easier than you can go in and do surgery on a person. That's why this is so important and why the technology evolved. But then you guys figured out engines, perfect application.
We would try to bring this technology to knees or hips implant. You have to be ready to serious capital investment over many years for the FDA approval, for adoption in the field, but in the engine, results actually, in fact, better, and the distance to the market happened to be already 10 years. So we started research in 2009, and we are happy to kind of enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Well, you received a very powerful response the first time around. How is it done in that you've got an engine that is worn, it's got miles on it, but you want to bring things back with Tribotex?
Many people who look at the classic cars, who look at the high-performance cars, who love their current car and wanted to keep longer, looking into coming out of the winter, and they hear more noises in the engine, and they think, what I can do to make it quieter, make it a little bit better. Okay, I'll replace filters, I do maintenance. Tribotex, it's a next step to rewind time on that wear on the critical components. Interesting example, if you have bearing, and typical bearing is round, right? Over time it wears up and become elliptic, and shafts start to vibrate in that area, and you hear it as a regular noise. So every time when it hits, it creates click sound, and when it hits times per minute, right, it creates noise. So every time when the particles delivered there, they attached, and over time, layer by layer by layer, these particles shrink bearings back where they was before.
It's nanoparticles, something that we've heard a lot about if we spend any time reading. But how does this work in an engine? How does a nanoparticle fill in what is normal engine wear?
You use the term fill in, but it's much more than that. Any soft metal, any borates or anything can fill in grooves, but none of them goes on top of the asperities. So if you want to build flat surface up, you have to do something special, and we have exactly that special feature. So on that special feature, let me show with the little prop I have here in the form of the sticky knots. So when you get the sticky knot and attach it to a surface one by one, it's only going to attach by one sticky side, and slippery always going to be on top. So particle by particle, they form a film that is not going to be perfect and uniform and all aligned. It's going to have gaps and pores, and those gaps and pores are going to be filled with lubricants, just like a synovial fluid in your joint. And that structure have remarkable properties. So first of all, it builds itself up when the vibration happens. Second, when the shock or impact happen, when sudden load or combustion, right, that film compacts itself and it emits a little bit of the lubricant, just like a synovial fluid. That is remarkable.
You've got it for gas engines, you've got it for diesel engines. But you've also got something new now for transmissions.
That's right, Joe. We're releasing transmission edition on crowdfunding platforms, and then it's going to go to retail. And transmission is actually easier to make than engine. Engine have all kind of different friction interfaces, but transmission, it's pretty much steel on steel. And results we see in transmissions are dramatic, especially in CVTs, in regular automatic ones, and in manual gearboxes. We have two products, one for automatic, one for manual.
Well, it's very interesting. If you're interested in reducing or reversing wear, you're going to want to check them out. So many people have already.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of Motorhead Garage. We're glad you came along. If you have an idea or a product you want to see on our show, email jeff@masterstv.com. And from our entire crew here, we will see you next time on Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings.